The following feature presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 260 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Galaxy's Edge is my snuffleupagus.
We are coming up on our 6th year anniversary of Skywalking Through Neverland. Criff!
Much like the TARDIS, it just kept unfolding. It's so much bigger.
A Knacklor in the bushes, you don't know what's going on.
We don't know if that's real. That is not confirmed.
So when you saw Vi Moradi at Galaxy's Edge, did you say, "Hi, I'm your mom"?
Every time I saw her, I went, "Oh my god!"
You know, which came first, the theme park name Galaxy's Edge, or did you write that line and, the Imagineers were inspired?
We're not condoning the beating up of any First Order cosplayers, okay?
I just hope that they were pleased with me killing a Wookiee and blaming a Rodian.
I can't tell you how much this part grosses me out.
And how are your nightmares?
Right, Sun Skywalkers, this is Delilah S. Dawson, author of Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire, and I am Skywalking Through Neverland. Till the spires, and always remember to ignite the spark!
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland!
Here we go!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets lab.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Neverland that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Bright suns, Skywalkers! Have you read the new novel, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire? Do you have questions about how Galaxy's Edge from the Disney theme parks fits into this story? Well, we certainly did. And we have some answers for you. Lots and lots of answers. But right now, we want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel fandom. I am Richard Woloski, but now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who is still soaking wet from yesterday.
And to clarify, we went for the first time in years on Splash Mountain. And we had a full boat. I was in the front, Richard was right behind me, and we got completely and utterly soaked.
Well, asterisk there. You've been on it. I never have.
You've never have?
Which was the reason we went to Disneyland yesterday, because we're doing a new video about things, rides, and attractions that we've never been on before, or maybe have done once or twice in our lives.
Or it's been years since we've done them.
Hey, we've never done Splash Mountain. We've never done the shooting gallery. Autopia, we've done once.
Yeah, Finding Nemo, that ride.
Oh boy. Yeah, so we went around Disneyland and just did all these things. It was like a whole new park that we've never done before.
Yeah. So that video will be coming to our YouTube channel soon. So stay tuned for that, Skywalkers.
Wait, Amanda B says on as a SkyTuber, she says, "Wait, never on Splash Mountain?" I don't like water rides because the whole day you're just walking around dripping and sopping wet. I've avoided that ride for I don't know how since the first time I went to Disneyland back in 1989.
Yep, you did. Well, regardless, it's time to give a big Wookiee hug to our family of Skywalkers. We want to thank you all for listening to the show every single week. We want to thank you for watching our videos. And we also want to thank those of you right now who are watching us live on YouTube.
Hey, SkyTubers.
Yay! We love it when you share our joy in this adventure through fandom.
Now, we are recording this from Long Beach, California on September the 11th, 2019, September the 11th.
Oh, 9/11.
Oh, 18 years ago.
Yeah, never forget.
You know what? Let's have a moment of silence for those we lost in that American tragedy. Sarah, how did you hear about that? About 9/11?
Well, I was in college at the time. I believe it was like a Thursday or a Tuesday or something. And I was woken up by a phone call, and my mom, it was like 7 a.m. or something like that. My mom says, turn on your TV. And I was like utterly like, like I was just waking up very groggy, and I turned on the TV and I was watching, and I could not comprehend what was happening. Because to me, it looked like, a movie that you see, you see these disaster films. So I asked my mom to explain to me what's happening. And as she's explaining it, it's kind of hitting me. And I'm like going, oh my gosh. So I felt so bad. And there was nothing we could do. And
plus,
it just.
Something like this hasn't hit American soil since Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't process this because it was so close to home.
Right. And everyone on the campus shut down that day too. I was at USC, and no classes. We just kind of shut down and kind of walked around campus in black, looking at each other what's, what is this world coming to? That was my day.
Yeah. Dave Scale had called me and said same thing. Turn on the news.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching this, and you just can't process this kind of information. Planes hitting the World Trade Center?
Right.
That's in New York. How does this happen?
Yeah.
And then you learn over time that it was a terrorist attack, and those weren't the only two targets. They were just trying to just blow up America.
Yeah, basically we were glued to the TV the whole day, watching what was happening and things.
And then I got a call that day to be a game coordinator in Malibu. It's like, who's celebrating today? What's going on?
Yeah. Wow.
And I took the job just because I had to focus on something else.
Yeah.
It was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had to do. I'm trying to get all these adults riled up to play games, but everyone's they're not on their phones. They're talking to each other. They're trying to get information. They don't want to play water balloon volleyball.
No, not at all.
To this day, I'm still upset with Sony that they removed the Twin Towers from the Spider-Man poster. From the Spider-Man 2002 poster.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why are you ignoring the trade towers? They were there. We know they were there.
Yeah.
Erasing them from the poster is not going to do anything.
Now, have any of you ever visited New York on 9/11?
Oh boy.
We happened to do that in 2007, and it was a very moving, touching moment. I mean, we went, and they had yet to rebuild at that point, the new towers. So we went, and there was a fence around the area. And
there were still holes.
There were still
holes in the ground.
And people had put up garlands and wreaths on all the fences around there. And it was just it was very much a memorial. And you're walking through and you're just thinking of all these lives. And it's just hitting me now.
Yeah, we just happened to be in New York on September the 11th, 2007.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, that really hit you so hard. And it's really hard to recover from being at ground zero.
Right.
But I'm so glad that they have continued on and built a memorial there, and the children of those people who had suffered in the attack. There was a story today I saw that the kids are growing up and they're accepting it, because that's what you have to do. That's the only thing you can do,
right,
is accept it. And just seeing how well adjusted they are, having gone through something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Bakken had written on the YouTube comments, she was in Mrs. Berry's math class. The class stopped, and they wheeled in one of those portable TV stands so we could watch the news the rest of the day.
All right.
Wasn't really expecting that.
No.
All right,
goodness.
now, you know what? Let's turn our attention over there to Minnie.
Okay.
Minnie, what time is it? And Minnie, who is sponsoring the show this week?
All right. Well, it's not sponsored by our gardener, though you would think so.
Right outside the window. Right outside. All right, so Minnie, can you yell over that leaf and lawn blower?
Let's try it out.
It's 5:40. Good evening.
But now, Minnie, answer the second question. Who is sponsoring this particular episode of Skywalking Through Neverland?
Oh, well, Richard, This episode of Skywalking Through Neverland is proudly sponsored by Small World Vacations. And just so you know, they are a diamond-level Disney vacation planner travel agency and can help you book your next trip to Disney parks around the world. And their service is free of charge. So just head to smallworldvacations.com and get a no-obligation price quote. And when you do, you can click on the drop-down and tell them that Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
All right.
Well, let's tell everyone what's coming up on this episode. So we're going to have an awesome, fun discussion with Delilah S. Dawson about her new novel, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire.
We talk about how much she knew about Galaxy's Edge while writing Black Spire, her reactions when she first met her creation, Vi Moradi. And Vi Moradi started in the book Captain Phasma, and her second book is Black Spire. But now, here she is at the Disney theme parks.
Yeah.
If you're the creator of this character, don't you want to go over there and say, hey, guess who I am? But you know what? We go over that in our discussion.
Right.
And we also talk about new ways to torture Star Wars characters.
It's a really fun discussion, you guys.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Also on this episode, we have shout-outs and
things we want to share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
Hey, everyone, guess what? We are coming up on our 6th year anniversary of Skywalking Through Neverland. 6 years coming up on September the 26th.
That's awesome.
Can you reflect back those 6 years? How much we've gone through, people we've met, the family that everyone has created.
Yeah.
All the Skywalkers.
It's so exciting. And so Richard, we reached out to compile a list of all these shows and titles and release dates.
Yeah. Well, I reached out to Shamim Dana, our Skywalking bounty hunter, and I said, hey, would you like this homework assignment? All you got to do is go through the last 259 episodes.
Oh my gosh.
And write down the show titles, dates, and guests. And like a champ, he did it. He is a bounty hunter. He went out there and he got this information and compiled it into a list. So, Sarah, let's go through our first, let's say, 10 episodes of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Listen.
A billion years in the making.
Off to Neverland.
What do you know?
You'll laugh. You'll cry. You'll kiss $3 goodbye.
All right, so episode 1 was titled J.J. Abrams, Fangirls, and the Blockbusters of 2015. And it came out on September 26th, 2013.
Now, do you recall this episode?
Oh, yes, I do. I recalled that we recorded this episode 3 times because we sounded so terrible and wooden those first times.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Skywalking Through Neverland, a podcast for active Disney and Star Wars fans. This is Richard.
And this is Sarah. Skywalking Through Neverland celebrates Star Wars and Disney fandom. And from time to time, we'll also be talking about excitement surrounding superheroes, Harry Potter, and other franchises with exciting things going on.
Yeah, we had everything pretty much scripted, and everything sounded like it was scripted. Like, okay, that's out.
Yeah, in episode 1, we had no guest. It was just us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we interviewed each other.
Yeah, I believe we did, yes.
And that was the also the episode where we told everyone about our meeting with J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, at the Hollywood Bowl John Williams concert that same year.
So that was a fun one.
Now, episode 2 is entitled Superhero TV, and that came out October 5th, 2013.
Yeah, this is where we had a round table, and we talked about superhero TV. Wonder Woman and S.H.I.E.L.D. I believe it was just coming out. Superman, the different iterations of Superman. And yeah, I recall us sitting in this little tiny office.
Yep.
Like a 4x4 office.
With no air conditioning.
Not whatsoever, no.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. All right, then on October 12th, 2013, the episode The Wonderful World of Trisha Barr. Episode number 3.
Yep, we interviewed Trisha Barr.
Before we before
really knew her.
we knew her, before she knew us.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
I recall talking about Happy Days and Potsy. When Potsy on Happy Days was called a nerd, the whole word just blew up, and everybody who was less than a jock was now a nerd. And when I hear that,
I forgot about that, but yeah. Oh wow.
Or what did Joni call Potsy? For those Happy Days aficionados, she called him a dren, which is a nerd backwards.
All right, episode 4 came out on October 19th, 2013, and it's called Escape from Tomorrow, Star Wars Origami, and Grace from Outer Space. I think that's the longest named episode ever.
Were these episodes like 3 hours each?
Yeah, we had like 2 giant segments on each episode.
Yeah.
So this one features Chris Alexander, author of Star Wars Origami, and our friend, as well as Jenna Bryson, who at the time was doing a Kickstarter for her Grace from Outer Space like TV show that she wanted to get going.
She was doing a book.
Yes.
And then she was trying to do a TV show spinoff.
Right.
And Escape from Tomorrow. Do you recall that?
Yeah. Was that the film that was, it was filmed at Walt Disney World without Disney's consent? Is that the one?
Yeah. Walt Disney World or Walt Disneyland.
Okay.
Well, one of the two theme parks, yeah. So I think it was a great idea. This guy went into the Disney theme parks and just shot a movie.
There you go.
That's a great idea. However, the movie was horrible and it had nothing to do with Disney.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good at all.
No.
But you know what? I appreciate his creativity.
Absolutely.
And then this was the first time I had met Chris Alexander since 1984. We went to BossCon conventions together. The first time we had met, we were both dressed up as Jedi Luke.
Yeah.
And we had that instant connection. And then just over the years, we just lost touch. And I think at the end of like 85 was the last time I'd ever spoken to him or reached out to him. Because back then, we couldn't send texts or emails or anything. We had to send regular mail.
So we reconnected with Chris.
So I went to, he was doing origami at this bookstore. And I thought, it'd be a fun surprise if I just showed up. And he looked at me when I got there and he said, "Do I know you?" I said, you did back in 1984. But we'll talk later on. You go do your class. He's like, what? Who? What?
That's awesome.
All right, then episode 5. Oh, do you recall this one?
Absolutely.
Cosplay does not equal consent.
This came out on October 26th, 2013. We had a giant round table with some people, including Amelia Lindgren. We had Boba Fett. I forget her actual name, but she was very interesting to talk to. Alexander Albatross. And then also the guy who created the Slave Leia bikinis.
So what was that episode about?
Well, cosplay does not equal consent. So basically, you know, like if you have a cosplay outfit that's sexy or something, that doesn't mean that you want to be groped or fondled or anything like that.
That was a big issue during that time period.
Yeah, with all the cons going on.
Yeah,
the Slave Leias and the cons and everything going on. Yeah, so that was a big issue. I think there was one convention that it really blew up at. And yeah, so we had a big conversation about that. Really, really insightful.
It's the whole idea that there's boundaries, and most people are aware of that when they go somewhere. And I haven't quite understood how a convention makes that different, or how wearing a costume makes that different. But it seems to be, people don't seem to quite understand that just because I'm wearing this extremely sexy costume doesn't mean you can come up to and touch me or say extremely lewd comments to me.
I wonder if it's because you're embodying a character, and so they don't see you as yourself, they see you as that character for
Which
some
makes
reason.
sense. It's sort of like, celebrities or people they see that on the street like that, they assume that they're not real people. It's just that disconnect they have. And maybe that's where it is, but people need to learn. You can't just go up and touch somebody or say something really lewd. It's not appropriate.
We know there's a person inside the costume.
Yeah.
So
right.
You should treat them as such. I mean, it's an art form.
Gotta go back and listen to that one.
Yeah.
All right, now, episode 6 was our Halloween holiday special.
Woohoo! It came out on October 30th, 2013.
Oh, did we have 2 episodes in 1 week?
Wow, did we?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Oh. And that episode, we had Robert Babst.
Well, we had Robert Babst and Seth Talley from the Bald Solo podcast.
Okay. Robin Boyd, who was the queen of Halloween.
Oh, okay.
And Marco Goshewitz.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think we were just all talking about Halloween.
That's always fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, episode 7, we had It was called, finally, Star Wars Episode 7 release date, plus Stan Lee's Kamikaze. What are these episode titles?
It says exactly what's on the episode. This one came out November 9th, 2013. And do you recall, this is where we first found out that Episode 7 had been moved from May to December?
Yes.
And we just could not fathom something like this release date, because for us, December is just so maddening busy.
Yeah, I do. And you were all up in arms because, Star Wars does not come out in December.
Yeah,
it comes
not
out
only
in May.
do we have a maddening busy work schedule, but Star Wars movies come out in May. That's it, and that's that.
Yep.
News broke. Star Wars Episode 7 now has a release date.
It's a release date, but it's in December.
December 18th, 2015.
Well, that was Richard's reaction to that release date news.
I can't believe it. Not December. Not December. Star Wars is a summer movie. Where is their head with this? Had they not been paying attention for the last 36 years?
Oh, sweetie, I'm sorry.
I had a little hissy fit when the Clone Wars came out in August. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. That was 2008.
And then Kamikaze is a great convention that's now called Los Angeles Comic-Con. And that was our first time at a convention where we had the podcast. So it was really fun. We interviewed a lot of cosplayers and some people at the booths and made a lot of friends.
Yeah, we did. All right, episode 8, titled Star Wars Holiday Special, a 35th Anniversary Tribute.
Yay!
That one came out November 17th, 2013. I recall this one. We had Trisha Barr and Teresa Delgado. Robert Bapps was on, and Sean Crosby was on this episode.
Nice.
Do you recall this, where we gave them all homework assignments and said, pick a scene from the holiday special and break it down?
Yes.
Oh, I love that so much. We're going to borrow from that one again. I love doing that one.
Why not? It's been 6 years. All right, episode 9 is called Poppins, Proposals, and Prior. And that came out on November 22nd, 2013. And that featured a lot of talk about Poppins, Proposals, and Prior. So we
go on.
We had Lisa Dawn, and then we had Christina Groom and Anthony Hamedel, who are the Groomies. That's what we call them. And they were talking about their proposal, right?
Yeah, at the, not downtown Disney, but...
Right, Treasure Island or something, whatever that was called.
Yeah, the Orlando equivalent to downtown Disney.
Yeah, and Joshua was weighing in, it was called Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island.
That's it.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't that a place on the Sunset Strip?
No, that's actually a place referring to Pinocchio.
Okay, there's also a place on the Sunset Strip called Pleasure Island, which is where all the boys go to. All right. And with Lisa Dawn, we were talking about Saving Mr. Banks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wasn't she in line right in front of us? Mm-hmm. Waiting to see the movie, and started talking and said, hey, let's record a segment later on.
Absolutely. All right, Richard, episode 10.
R2 builder Victor Franco, Long Beach Comic-Con, and a rapping C-3PO.
Maybe this is the longest title.
All right, this one is from December the 1st, 2013. And we had Victor Franco on, who is an R2 builder who we had used at our wedding. And we had used for my proposal to you, Sarah.
Yeah.
He had supplied the R2-D2. I thought, this is a fun story right there. Let's get this guy on. And I'm sure many of you convention goers have met Victor at many conventions. One of the nicest guys in Star Wars fandom.
I agree. Wow. All right. Well, with those 10 episodes, hopefully that jogs your memory a little bit. And Skywalkers, what is your first Skywalking Through Neverland memory? Tweet at us, please, at Skywalking Pod, or just share in the comments below right here. We would love to know.
Yeah, you know what? I think 9 out of 10 people have said the last time we'd asked this, that Celebration Anaheim was the first time they'd ever met us or heard the show.
Okay.
Who goes back further than that? Ooh. Joey Pittman, Donald Wicks.
Donald Wicks, yeah.
And lots of others.
Ooh.
Oh, John Zancanaro said in 2015 after Star Wars weekends.
Perfect. So like May of 2015, May, June. Cool.
Now, we are celebrating this anniversary with not just one, but 2 new Skywalking Through Neverland t-shirts.
And they're designs too, so you don't have to get t-shirts. You can get mugs. You can get all kinds of things. You can get stickers. But yes, I have 2 designs, and we've been working on them this week. And one is I should have done this like 3 months ago, but it's now here, and it's our Skywalking Through Galaxy's Edge design.
If only someone had been reminding you every week or bugging you and taunting you and whispering this while you slept.
But then the summer came, and then conventions came, and we were busy, and I couldn't do it until last week when I had all this free time.
Okay, you know what? There you go. There's your explanation, and I accept.
So I did it. We did. And we put together our Skywalking Through Neverland Galaxy's Edge designs on our TeePublic shop. And it's great. It says Skywalking Through Galaxy's Edge. And you can just share it and wear it when you go and visit the Disney theme parks.
I can't wait to wear this when we're in Florida.
Yeah. Yep, they're on order.
Mm-hmm.
And now we also have a brand new design as of yesterday, and I'm calling it Halloween Toys Tell a Story.
That's an awesome title.
And it's the Toy Story aliens, but they're dressed up because it's Halloween, and they're dressed up as Vader, Maleficent, and Spider-Man to represent our 3 favorite fandoms.
We had to get Spider-Man in there. That's our
homage to what's happening right now.
Yes.
Yeah, that was your suggestion, and he's the one I started working on first, and I had such fun like drawing all the little spider lines and like being like, oh, this is cool.
That's our commentary on how Spider-Man, he's still with the MCU. All right? We don't care what Sony has to say. He belongs over here in our house.
He does. All
right, so we were thinking about doing like the Hulk or Captain America. It's like, no, we got to make a statement with Spider-Man.
Yeah, had it been me, I probably would have done Captain America or Captain Marvel maybe, but Captain America with his shield is very, very iconic. I just love that.
But once again, we had to make a statement.
Indeed. And instead of saying ooh over them, the little Halloween aliens are saying boo.
That's good stuff. That's very good stuff.
Oh, and look in the comments. Thank you, Joshua. Great job on the design. John says, I think the Galaxy's Edge shirt is sitting in my mailbox right now.
Oh, John, run to the mailbox. We'll wait.
Yeah, right?
All right, and then take a picture and post it.
Yeah, and Kelly Turkle has joined us.
Hey, Kelly.
And she just ordered the Galaxy's Edge shirts. Yay! They just shipped. So cool.
We're going to meet over at Galaxy's Edge with the Turkle sometime.
Yeah. And we just ordered both of those designs too. So we'll be sporting those next time you guys see us.
Yay.
All right. And if you guys want to order any of these designs as t-shirts, as stickers, you can get them as phone cases. You can get them as mugs or totes or notebooks or whatever. You can go to skywalkingthroughneverland.com and just click on the Support Us tab. There's a little drop down for the TeePublic shop. And if you click that link, it'll take you to the shop where you'll see all the designs available. And we've got, all of our designs that we've done over the years, including the BB-8 that's in little Mickey ears. We have like a Christmas BB-8, and I will be working on a Christmas design too this year. So I haven't done it. No, I'm more. I had those Toy Story aliens like really opened up something. Like I had a lot of fun doing those, and I learned some new things in Illustrator that made it just that much more fun and not easy necessarily, but just like I know how to do stuff now, and it just takes working on them. So I really want to workshop my skills and create more designs.
I've never seen you so laser focused on something. You were working around the clock. I'd get up at 4 a.m. to feed the bunnies, and you'd be in here tap 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 on your keyboard.
Well, it's fun. I mean, I love creating art, and we might be getting into pins, you guys. So, like, if you want to see these Toy Story aliens as individual pins, let us know in the comments, something like that. So, this is something we kind of want to branch into, and we want to make it. We want to make it good. So, we want to hear all of your opinions and ideas.
More to come from Skywalking Through Neverland.
Yes.
I love our 6th year.
Yeah.
All right, now, before we speak with Delilah Dawson about Black Spire, let's go over some fun facts we picked up from her novel. Now, there are no spoilers in our discussion right here, but when we do talk with Delilah in just a little bit, there will be spoilers. But right now, these are just fun facts that we had picked out while reading the book, and we started making a list for no apparent reason. We thought, hey, let's put that list in this episode right here. Next time you're at Galaxy's Edge, you'll have more of an understanding of who goes where and who owns what and who made what. All right, so before we go into that, let's read the old Batuan ballad that starts off Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire.
At the edge of the galaxy, so far away, black was the spire that called me to stay. A beacon for drifters, forgotten and lost. The spires summoned those broken and tossed.
Come stay here forever, or just pass on through. The spirit of Black Spire will forever change you. All right, now, so the time frame for Black Spire begins in the middle of The Force Awakens and continues through The Last Jedi.
Okay.
And the bulk of the story takes place 4 months after The Last Jedi. There's different plot points from the movies, and the fact that we do read about the destruction of Hosnian Prime does play into the character's backstory later on in Black Spire.
Well, what's the second fun fact, Richard?
That Vi Moradi's, her nickname that Leia gave her is Magpie. I think that's just the funniest thing ever.
Why? Because it's just a bird, or
I don't know.
Just a funny
it's
name?
Magpie. I just don't look at Vi and go, yeah, you're a magpie. But you know what? If Leia gives her that code name, it sticks. And in the book, she's also referred to as Starling.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
I think that's a code, that's a name that the First Order calls her.
So I think what Starling is that it's like her previous call sign. And because Cardinal, captured her, he knows that nickname. And so that's what the First Order now calls her, because he found out that info. Yeah, Skywalkers, help us out, because I don't really remember either. That makes sense to me.
And I tried looking it up, but there's no reference anywhere.
Okay.
And I even tried flipping through Captain Phasma, and I couldn't
Nothing.
find anything.
Yeah. All right.
So when you're at Galaxy's Edge, go up to Vi and call her Magpie or Starling. And
Yeah.
See
what she does.
Yeah, we called her Magpie a few months ago, and she looked at us like, what are you talking about?
But the book hadn't come out yet,
Yeah.
so...
Oh, magpies? Yeah, we serve those at Ronto Roasters, okay?
Yeah, right? Oh. Okay, Amanda says, a magpie is a type of bird called a starling. Oh. And I think she's referred to as Starling in Phasma. I think so too, Amanda. I think I remember that.
Well,
Cool.
thank you to our sky tubers.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's another fun fact. Archex, who is formerly known as Captain Cardinal, he's the stormtrooper turned officer turned resistance agent from Delilah Dawson's Captain Phasma novel. Well, he whittles wood in his spare time. And so in this novel, he carved the wooden convors, warts, and Tuca cats that are actually sold at the Toydarian toy makers in Black Spire Outpost in the marketplace. Like this one.
And yesterday, when we were at Galaxy's Edge, we had to buy one of these convor whistles just so we could say, hey, look, Archex made this.
Uh-huh.
If a convor was a train, he'd sound like that.
Ah. Well, what's the next fun fact?
Well, Delilah does a great job going through all the shops in Black Spire Outpost, but it's hard to keep track of who owns what shop and the eateries, and I wanted to keep track of all of this.
So while you're reading, you started a list?
Exactly, yes.
Aww.
Now, of course, there's Olga's Cantina, owned by Olga Gara, which that one's the obvious one, and you can see more on Olga in our YouTube video, Who is Olga? Now, there's Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, and of course, that's owned by Doc Ondar.
It's helpful that their names are in the titles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's an Authorian who specializes in black market items. And don't get on Doc's bad side, or you're going to end up on the Doc list.
Okay, I'm sorry, but when people said Doc list, does anybody think of Knock list from Mission Impossible?
No.
That's all I was thinking of. I'm like, it's the knock list. The knock list was a list of all the agents. Yeah, so that didn't want to get out because then their identities would be known. So the doc list, I guess, is a different list, but it's still kind of the same function. You don't want that to get out anywhere.
If you keep talking about Mission Impossible, I'm going to put you on the doc list.
You can't put me on the doc list. You're not Doc. Nope.
All right. So the Droid Depot, that is owned by Mubo.
All right.
Mubo's Droid Depot. And Mubo is an Utai.
All right. So what is an Utai?
An Utai is a mechanic alien that we saw on the planet Utapau in Revenge of the Sith.
So they were like dealing with Obi-Wan?
Yeah, when Obi-Wan landed his Jedi Starfighter on Utapau, it was those little Utai aliens that ran around and fueled up the ship and was working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, later on we'll be talking to Delilah and we'll bring the Utai up.
Okay.
All right, now, this is something. There's a shop named Arda's. Now, Arda she's a Twi'lek, and she sells shawls and scarves and fabrics. Why is this not in Merchant Row in Galaxy's Edge?
Where is this shop? I want an Arda Twi'lek to come up to me and go, oh, this shawl would look great with your skin tone, dear. I want that so bad.
Because there's only one clothing store that just sells the Jedi robes and some belts and such. But this is a great opportunity to open it up to other designs, to other clothing pieces, to other accessories.
Yeah.
And so when I read this, I was kind of disappointed that we didn't have Arda's. Galaxy's Edge is a work in progress.
She's a Twi'lek. I want to see a Twi'lek.
It'll come.
Okay.
All right, now there's Ronto Roasters. We've all been there, who's been to Galaxy's Edge. And that's owned by super pod racing fan Bakar, or the Butcher. In the book, Salju says to Vi Moradi, so we call the owner the Butcher, but his real name is Bakar. If you want to avoid small talk and eat in peace, just don't mention pod racing. He's crazy for it. Now, this stuck out to me because I get this a lot when people say, oh, don't mention Star Wars around Rich, okay? Because he'll keep you there. Don't mention the holiday special because you won't leave for hours.
And that's kind of true.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm not trying to hide that.
So now what this makes me want to do is I want to go to Ronto Roasters and start talking to the people there about pod racing and see what they say. Because maybe they've been like briefed, all the citizens, perhaps?
I want to believe that too.
Okay. All right. So Amanda's asking, the Jedi clothing store, is that run by Savi? No, that's called Black Spire Outfitters.
Yeah, and that's not owned by anyone in particular.
Right.
And I've looked that up because that's the only store that doesn't have any kind of background to it.
Any proprietor. Okay.
Right. Yeah, no shopkeeper there.
Okay.
All right, next up, we have Savi's Workshop. Or in the book, it's called Savi and Sons Salvage. Savi deals in scavenged metals, and he has his gatherers out looking for historical objects of religious or spiritual value.
Okay.
So he's got a cover there. So he can go under the cover of, we're just looking for... Scrap?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but really he's got these gatherers all out in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Looking for artifacts once owned by the Jedi.
Now, Savi is human?
He's human.
Okay.
And he's a friend of Lor San Tekka.
Right. That was brought out in the book. That's really cool.
Yeah. And together, they decided it was their calling to keep the Force in balance.
Nice.
So I want to see that spin-off.
Yeah, me too. Maybe a comic.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So they're not Force wielders. They don't possess the Force, but they just see the value in Jedi and what the Force can offer and really they're trying to keep that balloon up in the air.
Right. All right. Now, also, we have in Galaxy's Edge the milk stand, which is Booba Wamba's milk stand. And that's, of course, owned by Booba Wamba, who is an Aqualish.
Yeah. Or for those vintage fans, he's a walrus man.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Booba Wamba Family Farms is a farming business, and they distribute to the milk stand.
See, that's another book I want to read or a comic because they have a farming business. What do you think's on that farm?
Banthas.
And what else? Thalasirens.
Yep, Thalasirens.
Even though one is on a very cold, distant island, and one is in the desolate wastelands of Tatooine, two different climates, but yet I want to see them together.
I think so.
What if they were breeding?
Ew. Then we'd get teal milk.
You see this? It writes itself.
Ew, that
All
sounds
right.
gross.
Next, Delilah Dawson writes about the Toydarian toy maker, and that's where Archex, in the book, he sells these convor whistles and the little wart croaking frog instruments and the Tuca dolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so interesting that they can tie these toys into the novel.
Now, the Toydarian owns the Toydarian toy maker.
Zabaka.
And is it her, right?
Yeah, Zabaka. Yeah, and as we heard from some of the Batu locals, she's got a crush on Olga.
Mm-hmm.
But Olga's like, no, I'm still mourning Doran the Wookiee.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
I don't think she's mourning him, but yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
All right.
So Zabaka's got to keep her distance until the time is right.
All right. Also in Galaxy's Edge, we have Katsaka's Kettle. And Katsaka is a farmer who grew up on Batu and runs the popped grain stall.
In the book, the Dolan, one of Vi's new resistance recruits, he's got a little hog pet named Waba, and he loves Katsaka's Kettle. Yeah, and you can read about a Sokka family in the Star Wars book Myths and Fables, and this is in the story The Black Spire. This is kind of like Clone Wars and The Clone Wars.
Okay.
Unfortunately, and I don't know the answer to this story does not say if this Sokka family in the story is connected to the Cat Sokka family. What? Why not? Why not just go one step further and say, yeah, this story's about the Cat Sokka family?
So Kat Sokka doesn't show up in that story?
No.
Wow.
It's just about another family named Sokka.
Huh. How odd.
Why? You're at the finish line right there. There's 3 children, and you've given names to all of them. Just name one of them Cat.
Yeah, there's your connection. Wow. All right. That's odd.
Yeah, and once again, I just love the fact that this stuff at Galaxy's Edge rolls right into the novel Black Spire.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like when you go there, you're walking into the book. We haven't done that since Hogwarts.
Yeah.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Exactly.
All right, next up, we have the Jewels of Bith.
Now, that's run by the Bith Kamka Lyra, and it sells jewels and souvenirs. Now, what's a Bith again?
The Cantina band creatures.
Oh,
big
yeah,
bulbous
duh.
heads.
Yes, the band.
Right.
Okay, cool.
All right, and next to that, we have the Creature Stall, which is run by Bina, and she's an Amani. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Think about those Man creatures from Return of the Jedi.
A man.
That's the wrong. No, that's
a man.
No,
Dun, da, 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 da.
Mana.
A man. Da, 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 da. A man. Okay, so what did Return of the Jedi?
So, someone called Weird Al Yankovic. He's got to write this.
A man.
Now, these are the big creatures in Return of the Jedi. There's one standing right next to the Carbonite Han Solo, the Carbon Froze Han Solo. When the camera pans to Han, after Jabba says, I like my wall decoration where he is, the camera pans, and there's an man looking over at the Carbon Froze Han Solo. You know what? Think of Gumby. Next time you watch Return of the Jedi, just think, which one of these creatures looks like Gumby? Oh, there he is.
Okay. All right, there you go. I love it. All right, and last but not least, we have Docking Bay 7, Food and Cargo.
In the book, it's called Tug's Grub.
Oh.
But not at Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, no. But it is run by Chef Strono, Cookie Tugs. So Cookie is the nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Nickname.
And he was the chef for Maz Kanata in the Force Awakens era.
Yeah. But he had to get a new job.
Yeah. Thank you, First Order. So he must love working at Black Spire. When he gets there, it's like, hey, there's no First Order troopers around here. This is safe. It's a backwater planet. But I love this. There's no Oh, great. Look what just landed.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks, Vi. So to continue, there's some pleasantries and legends and phrases also included in Black Spire.
Yeah. And one of these phrases is, Richard, may the spires keep you.
Now, this is one of those phrases we don't hear that much. We hear bright suns, we hear rising moons, but this is one of the ones that gets buried.
Yeah, may the spires keep you. You don't hear it often. And what this saying actually does is honor the mysterious Batuans who lived on Batu long ago. Yeah. So, because the one thing that connects all the locals of Black Spire Outpost are the spires. It was common across cultures to choose big and mysterious objects and treat it, well, if not as a god, then as something of importance, something that could change luck or add protection.
I love that.
And it does kind of protect them from the outside world a little bit because the spires go up in such a way that it's actually hard for ships to navigate.
Yeah. And legend has it that long ago, when the ancients lived there was a fierce monster called a Naklor. And this creature used to steal gruffins and the men who would milk them. Come on, give us a break.
This must be a big creature.
Yeah, soon, when the milk dried up and the hunters had all disappeared, a local matriarch took her staff and battled the monster. She hit the creature so hard that it burned up in cinders. And the Black Spire that we see at Galaxy's Edge, legend has it, that's the burnt husk of that Naklor. Some say its heart still lurks within, thirsty for blood. Little kids used to dare each other to kiss it, but they were so frightened that they would just use their pinkies, kiss their pinkies, and then use the pinkies, then tap on that husk, on that Black Spire.
Ew. Joshua said that he thinks he ran into those spires while flying the Falcon. I think we all did, Joshua.
Many times. Now, you're around the corner from that Black Spire, and there's Olga's Cantina. And she doesn't let just anything fly there. She's got a code of conduct, which includes no quacking monkeys.
Thanks to Hero the Hutt.
No ripping off of limbs. And deals over 10,000 credits need her approval.
In other words, it needs her cut.
She wants to know what's going on over there.
Nah, she wants a cut.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And if you want to swear...
Richard swears.
Hashtag Sarah swears.
No.
This is important for you. If you want to swear at Galaxy's Edge,
what
at
do I
Black
say?
Spire Outpost, you say, Criff!
Criff.
Hashtag Sarah swears.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you want to sling an insult, you would say, hey, go sit and aspire.
Yeah, that sounds like an insult. That doesn't sound too good.
You know, I can see Fonzie saying that.
Oh,
hey,
that'd be funny.
Sit on Aspire.
Nice. All right. Well, wow. Now you have all of that down. It's time to meet the author who brought Galaxy's Edge to life in our imaginations.
Go sit on Aspire.
Hey! In the 2017 novel Captain Phasma, we saw the birth of a new Star Wars hero with Vi Moradi. Now, Vi is back in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Black Spire from Disney Lucasfilm Press.
We are so excited to have author Delilah S. Dawson here with us now to talk about Black Spire, Galaxy's Edge, and Vi Moradi's eye-catching scene. And yes, there will be Black Spire spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
Bright
suns, Delilah.
Bright suns, travelers.
I wouldn't expect anything less right now.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, you know what? We gotta ask you, knowing that you live in Florida, how did you fare the storms out there?
We actually didn't have anything Dorian related, which was pretty annoying because I braved Publix to buy, non-perishable food. And we thought that some people who work with my husband might come stay with us. So I'm in there with that huge cart and dodging, angry people with scrabbling over water. And then we didn't get anything. And then last night we had an insane monsoon level storm and it knocked out the power. So yeah, that was my whole Twitter feed last night, was trying to deal without power, but I guess we're fine now.
Well, good.
Don't tell my kids about the Lucky Charms and pudding hiding in my closet.
It's better to be over prepared, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's not like we're we'll definitely have another similar scare. But, I'm learning as a Floridian, like I'm learning that sometimes they just would like to really sell some extra water and gas that weekend. So.
Oh, now we see what's going on out there.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy.
Most of our friends live out in Florida, so we're like, everyone okay? Roll call.
Yeah.
So glad to see that everyone is okay, including yourself. Now, let's get into your Star Wars fandom. What was your entry point into the fandom?
Well, I was born in 1977, and back then you couldn't watch movies on demand. You had to wait for them to come on TV on Sunday at 3 o'clock with commercials, before Brimley tried to sell you oatmeal, basically. So I didn't get to see, the first couple movies in the theater. Return of the Jedi was my first one in the theater, but I saw bits and pieces. I had Luke Skywalker sheets. I had all of the books, the read-along books that R2-D2 would beep to tell you when to turn the pages. So it was just kind of always part of the fabric of my life, pretty much. Then, of course, I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater, and it blew my mind. And the Ewok Adventure was, the first movie I got to stay up at night on a school night to watch, where I saw, a little girl crash land on a planet and make friends with murder bears. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I'm all in now, forever. Yep.
I see a future in this.
Oh. Yep. I love that.
But then, all along we've been here. So, I've seen all the prequels in the theater on opening day. My husband and I were late to our rehearsal dinner because we were at Attack of the Clones.
Nice.
Played the Star Wars RPG, read the books. Yeah.
Oh,
man. I think to write Star Wars, you really have to be immersed in it. Like it's, a country that you have citizenship in. Otherwise, it would be impossible to absorb enough to be able to write it,
You are
Absolutely.
hardcore. Yeah, and you know that if you got one thing wrong, the fans wouldn't stay quiet.
That's true, but fortunately, my editors at Del Rey are incredible, and they, there's so many layers of protection so that they keep me from looking like an idiot in between the editors, the story group, all the people we get to deal with. Yeah, there are many, many nets underneath this trapeze.
Awesome.
I think the Lucasfilm story group is calling right now.
That's all you're allowed to say, or else Pablo shows up with like a baseball bat.
Exactly. Wow. Well, speaking of Star Wars immersion, I mean, you've been immersed your whole life, but now you're the author of Black Spire that takes place in Galaxy's Edge, which we can now go visit. So what did you think when you first visited Galaxy's Edge, and how many times have you been?
Well, when my friend Zaretta Cordova, who wrote Crash of Fate, we both had a pretty similar experience writing these tie-in books with Galaxy's Edge, where we couldn't actually go see the world and walk through it, or even go see, the construction. We just received a very thick dossier of images, artwork, characters, character relationships, maps that were so small that you couldn't read them and they wouldn't blow up. So we couldn't, it was very hard to tell what was what. So we were trying to make this world feel real, and we'd never actually experienced it. And of course, fortunately, we had, the Imagineers designing the world on our side, helping us out and available to help us. So it was definitely a group effort, but actually seeing the land was just mind blowing. I keep saying it's like that day on Sesame Street when, after all the years, Snuffleupagus was revealed to everyone else on Sesame Street, and Big Bird was like, I told you this was real, you guys. I didn't make this up.
At last! Oh, joy, joy! I told you there was a Snuffleupagus, and last, you've seen him, and you gotta believe it, right?
Love that reference.
Yeah, Galaxy's Edge is my Snuffleupagus. So I was very fortunate to be invited to the kind of media opening at the Disneyland Galaxy's Edge with two of my editors, Elizabeth Schaefer and Keith Clayton. We had a super fun trip together. Got to ride the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which was amazing. It's really fun to see your editors like screaming bloody murder. And so then we got to go to Galaxy's Edge, and it was so interesting because it was almost, you had to have a special special credentials to get in, and then you're waiting kind of like in a holding pen, and then they finally let us through. And the way it just opens up as you go through that tunnel and you can see the world beyond, it's so neat the way they planned it. So, it's not like they made it feel like you're going through a tunnel into another world. And then you see, the Batuans in their Batu clothes, and you see, the Coke vendor is different and is written in Orabesh. It was just really incredible. And at first I was like, oh, wow, it's so much smaller than I thought it would be. And then, much like the TARDIS, it just kept unfolding. It's so much bigger on the inside that finally you're like, oh my God, where am I?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you hear TIE fighters passing by you, creatures, a Knacklor in the bushes. You don't know what's going on.
We don't know if that's real. That is not confirmed. But yeah, you know, the Disneyland one, to my knowledge, and I might have remembered this wrong, I don't think that they had the background sounds going.
Oh.
But Bryda and I got to go to the Disney World opening and do several events at Disney World before Galaxy's Edge opening. We got to do some book signings and some media events, and we got to really spend a lot of time there. So, you know, in Disneyland, I had my 3 hours and actually had to leave to go eat. So I had maybe 2 hours, but boy, we got to spend a lot of time just checking out the details. You know, when you are sitting in, say, Docking Bay 7, food and cargo, for an hour or two, you start to see how much care has been put into the decor. I taught myself how to read Orabesh so I could read all the signs. I downloaded the Datapad. They have a Datapad app in the Disney Play app where you can turn it on when you're in Black Spire Outpost. You can hack doors, you can talk to droids, you can take jobs, earn cash, you can help the Resistance or the First Order. So I was so fortunate and glad that I got to spend that extra time there to start kind of doing the deep cuts of Galaxy's Edge, to like actively looking for the Porg nests on the Smuggler's Run line. It was great.
So when you saw Vi Moradi at Galaxy's Edge, did you say, "Hi, I'm your mom"?
No, because I appreciate that Vi is not in my world, Vi is in her world. You know, much like I would really hope that God would like poke a finger through my wall and be like, "Wake up!" No, she shows up, and I was there with her. It was. You can actually see it. The Disney blogs filmed a video of me meeting Vi, and I kept messing it up because, as we know, there's no God in Star Wars. And every time I saw her, I went, "Oh my God!" Okay, take it from the top again. Delilah said God. And I think I had one that was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was on the original Musketeers, but it's just stunning. Vi it's so incredible. And I've been fortunate to meet severalVis, and they are such special, strong, beautiful, wonderful women that bring so much character to Vi. Like she has things to say. She gives you things to do. She is a very active character. I've also heard, I love it when people on Twitter tag me in pictures of them with Vi, and especially kids with Vi, because, you know, sometimes little kids, when they see like Winnie the Pooh or, you know, Belle or Ray, they see like a very important person and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't know what to do with Ray." But Vi just runs up beside them and is like, "Hey, can you help me? Go distract those bucketheads." And you see kids, it's like they switch into the role playing and they're just in the world and they go run and distract the stormtroopers. It's really magical what Vi can do.
Oh.
When I had met Vi for the first time, I called her Magpie, and she looked at me like, "What are you talking about?"
I know that Vi is a character that has been workshopped extensively, and that the actors have been trained very well. But no one gave them a copy of Phasma of Black Spire. I know many of them have sought out the books to deepen their character, which I'm so grateful for. But when they started workshopping and studying to be Vi, they didn't have Black Spire, so they didn't know that she had a new call name. As I understand it now, I believe that Vi is aware that, will cop to being called Starling or Magpie.
Oh,
to my knowledge.
Yeah, when I called her a Magpie, I said, "Oh, wait a minute, you shouldn't be revealing the fact that Leia Organa gave you this code name. I'm sorry, if I overstepped the Resistance boundaries." So I played into it when I realized, oh, they don't know everything from the books.
Yeah, you don't want to reveal her. No, I'm sitting next to a little pile of Black Spire books I'm sending to the Vi's at Disneyland.
To be fair, Richard, you were just telling this like a month before the actual book came out, because we had the copies.
Well, I just didn't know if they had given the Vi performers any kind of a background Bible to go off of.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I have at least 6 Vi's that have books that have come to signings or that I've given books to, and I'm sending 3 more out to Los Angeles. And I know I'm going to get to see at least one at my book signing on October 10th. So bless the Vi's. I'm here for the Vi's.
That's amazing.
Can you imagine next celebration how many Vi Moradi cosplayers there's going to be?
Oh my God, I really hope so. And I also want to see late stage and early stage Cardinal.
Yes.
Because I'm just saying, like, if you are, so we're talking spoilers if you've read the book, right?
Yes.
Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Warning. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
If somebody's got an old Stormtrooper kit that they're real bored of, all you need is a can of Krylon.
Yes,
and you've got your costume.
absolutely. That's perfect because it's supposed to be badly painted too, because he did it in like an hour.
You don't even have to try hard.
That's amazing.
And I just want this big guy to be walking around as Wolfgar Kath, just so everyone can hit him.
Yeah.
Say, hey, this is for Vi.
Oh my God. Please do not beat up on the cats.
Yeah.
I wanted to give Star Wars a big burly bear, first, Imperial guy. We see so many skinny fox-like, we see Tarkins and Huxes, and I was like, I just want a big burly bear roaming around, big old muscles.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is like that guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark that tries to beat up Indiana Jones and meets the fate of a propeller. So all the Skywalkers out there know, we're not condoning the beating up of any First Order cosplayers, okay? Just to make sure that's all well and good.
Yeah.
Now, how closely did you work with the Lucasfilm story group while writing Black Spire?
That is one of those gray areas that we don't go into too much detail, but I will say it's a very organic process and they are super helpful. And I am very, very grateful for all of their help. But it's, definitely a Star Wars book is not written by a single person locked in a room. There's so many voices that help us get things right.
All right.
Okay.
And were you able to see a miniature of Galaxy's Edge to plan out your scenes and the spatial relations, Oga's Cantina to Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities to the ancient ruins? Were you able to see this?
I did not. I begged. I got to a point, especially where the scene where she's clearing the traps in the caverns that become the Resistance base, where I remember sending an email. I was kind of frantic. And I was like, look, y'all, I am not good with maps. You've sent me a map that's covered in watermarks that I can't blow up. I can't read any of the words on it. And I don't know, I can be in Disney World in an hour if you'll just even give me 5 minutes to look at a map. Or, to hold a map, to just, I know you've got a miniature, a 3D, like y'all said, a 3D miniature world or whatever, just let me see something. And they sent me a very detailed description of a walkthrough that helped a lot. And I can't wait to see on Rise of the Resistance how close it is to, how I read it and what I saw in my head. But yeah, no, I did not see the world until we arrived that night at the Galaxy's Edge opening Disneyland. Although I went to WonderCon in March and I went online and looked at the Disney blogs for all the places that said you could see part of Black Spire. So I was shoving kids out of the way in the Tarzan tree, trying so hard to see the little spires, going over, the little secret walk around over by Splash Mountain, trying so hard to peek in. And I didn't get anything. It's see the very tips of the Alps.
Wow, they hold that word secret to the highest degree over there.
Yeah, did you ride the Mark Twain too? Try to get a glimpse?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
But by that time, it's I'd been at WonderCon for 9 hours and Disneyland for 3 hours, and I was like, this is fine. I'm not going to see. They're not. If anyone could see anything else, there'd be a line.
Yes.
Very fortunately, they managed to let me have one more editing pass of the book after I'd seen Galaxy's Edge Disneyland.
Oh.
So I was able to do one more pass, and there were some things that I hadn't quite described right because I would read the description in the dossier that the Imagineers had given me, and then I would imagine it and describe it, through Vi's voice. And so I didn't always get things right. So in Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, the way that they had described the Ithorian wind chimes on the chandelier, I'd gotten that all wrong. And I was like, oh, thank God I got to rewrite this or I would have looked like an idiot.
Okay.
That leads us to another question. We love the fact that you fill in so many blanks in the storyline, especially with one of our favorite characters, Olga Gara, the cantina owner and the outpost matriarch. And you go over this scene in the book where she has a spat with Doran, her Wookiee lover. But at the D23 Expo, Carrie Beck, who is part of the Lucasfilm story group, she told that story a little bit differently. Was that story point rewritten at some point?
In my dossier, in Oga's part of it, when it was talking about her relationships, it mentioned briefly that she had shot her Wookiee lover Doran, and that there was, you could see a missing banister on the stairwell. And I was like, oh, well, that would be a really great moment to introduce her, and I could tell that story. So drawing on, just a sentence or two, I wrote the scene, and trusting that if I'd gotten something wrong, the Imagineers and story group would let me know, and they didn't correct much of it. So, one of the things we say about Black Spire a lot is that stories get kind of passed down, like the Knacklor Snorlock sort of thing, where it's a Wild West place, and one person tells a story to another person, tells a story to another person, and things change. So we kind of have a little bit of butt coverage there.
Yeah.
The stories don't quite get along, but the book, the Imagineers read Black Spire and had the opportunity to make any changes they want or to request changes. So I just hope that they were pleased with me killing a Wookiee and blaming a Rodian.
Whatever happened to Meba, the Rodian that Doran was cheating on?
Yeah, we never hear her again.
Yeah, no, Black Spire is a very small place. I imagine she, put on one of Arta Clune's hand-woven wraps, hightailed it to the spaceport, and got on the fastest ship out of there before Oga sought further.
That would be funny. Wow.
Maybe Meba is Greedo's daughter? I'm not going to keep all that
That's
scoundrelish.
A small world.
In Black Spire, nobody is related to anybody because they had an issue with people working there who, they're supposed to come up with their own, lives, backgrounds where they live. And they're like, yeah, I'm secretly Han Solo's cousin. And they're like, no, nobody is Han Solo's cousin. Like, you're just a person, you're just a farmer.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you did that. And I like your answer of everyone's got a different point of view. And I think that line from Obi-Wan Kenobi in Return of the Jedi really comes into play every time something like this comes up.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
Yeah, it covers all manner of sins there. So I had a question specifically about your novel here. In the very beginning, when they're entering the space of Batuu, they haven't yet gone on the planet yet, but there's a line in there that you write, and it's beautiful. It says, alone on the galaxy's edge. Mm-hmm. So what I'm wondering was, which came first, the theme park name Galaxy's Edge, or did you write that line and, the Imagineers were inspired?
Oh man, no, I wish. No, Galaxy's Edge was named long before. This book was written in January and February of this year.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So it came much, much later. But it is, it's little things like that in prose where it's fun to echo and name drop and, kind of broaden some of the themes that we're given. It's very fun to put in things like that. But no, the Imagineers are the maestros of this orchestra, and I'm just in the corner with a flute kind of improvising a little bit.
I love that.
Oh, I wouldn't say a flute. I'd say 3 trumpets.
Yeah, exactly. You're the brass section.
Yeah, and I can't tell you what a thrill it was for us going to Galaxy's Edge after reading the book, because we got the book the beginning of June, and seeing things like Vi had a fuzzy tauntaun, or someone went to the creature stall. It's like, we know those places!
Yeah, super fun.
It was such an exciting squeal every time you dropped something that we had been to or going to Ronto Roasters.
Yeah, we had already experienced it. So it's really cool to be able to read this book and then experience what's in the book. How awesome is that?
Yeah. How often does an author get to do that?
I think nobody. It's me, Zoraida, and J.K. Rowling, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I have seen because sometimes people include me in their criticism, but I have seen some complaints this reads kind of like a travel log. But then the other half of the people are like, yeah, it reads like a travel log.
Yeah.
But no, I really like that aspect of it. But I've been very adamant that it's a Star Wars adventure and a definite story outside of that. It's not just a travel log, but I love that. I love the little call outs and finding out, the Trilon Wishing Tree. If you're just walking through the land, you don't know what it is, and if you read the book, you're like, oh, that's what that is.
Wait a minute, who's complaining about that? That's one of the book's greatest strengths.
I know.
Oh, I'm talking about complaining Star Wars fans. I'm sorry.
The kind of people who would go find me on Twitter to tell me that they have problems with the book.
Yeah. I don't. All right, never mind them. Never mind them. And when we were going to Galaxy's Edge those many times, the one thing that was really baffling, with going back to the Olga Gara story and how Doran had fell over this metal rail. It took us forever to go, okay, where did this take place? Where is this twisted metal rail?
Oh, yeah. Where is Doran's apartment?
Yeah.
So, actually, do you have an answer for us in your mind? When you went, did you oh, that's the apartment?
I do, but it looks like they didn't actually put up the rail.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, but that's something I lifted directly from the text I was given, that, you could still see the broken metal rail or whatever. So like I included it, and I went there and I was like, okay, I've identified like 2 apartments that are upper level that are around the corner from Oga's Cantina. Neither of them have the banister. And then it was just like, well, that was 3 months ago, so maybe they renovated a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
because what we had done is we had gotten all the pertinent information for Olga and her story, and then what the stories were told by the cast members. We made a video and put it on YouTube that describes Olga Gara and
her story,
her stories and the gossip, and it was driving us crazy. It's like, wait a minute, should we shoot this door or this door right over here?
No, we had the same issue when we were filming there, when they were like, is there any place around here that's direct call out from Rook? And I'm like, yeah, if we can just find this thing,
if only they had put a metal railing somewhere.
Yeah, just a twisted piece of metal.
It's got to be hard. Like if you're, the people building that are not the people that came up with the idea, which might not even be the same people that wrote the dossier. So there's definitely a lot of cooks trying to cook some sort of soup.
Yeah.
Right. So then if you're facing the doorway to the cantina, where do you think the apartment is in relation to that?
There is one to the right of Oga's Cantina that's kind of up high.
Right.
And it's more of a staircase. It doesn't seem to have like a hallway and a railing. So I think it's probably the one that's directly across from the front door of Oga's. And at least in Orlando, it's kind of shaded by a tree.
Score!
Slightly longer kind of balustrade.
Yes.
All right, great. We got it right then.
That's the one that we think too. So
that's what was included in our video.
Yeah.
Right.
Good deal. Is there anything in Galaxy's Edge that came from one of your creations that someone had read a rough draft and said, oh, we need to put this in there? We need to maybe put Pook, Vi's droid, somewhere hidden in there.
God, I wish there was a little Pook out at Mubo's Droid Depot. That would be so cool. Although you can see in the Droid Depot, there's a kind of broken K2 unit inside. Yeah. So I use that when Creaky goes to Mubo and he lets her interrogate his K2 unit. You can see that K2 unit. So it's all me reverse engineering the things that they had done. It's like everything was already built by the time I did the book. So anything that they've taken from the book is more improvisations that the people working there have added. Mm-hmm. But there's also stuff I've stolen. Like if you go to Zabaka's toy shop and there's the little wooden convoy and frog dogs, those are the ones that Cardinal carves.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love that. And then also, like when people say bright suns, was that in the dossier as well?
Yep. Okay. All of that was already created.
Okay.
You know what? We can say that we had gone to the Toydarian toy maker and we bought a frog dog croaking instrument and a convor whistle just because we had that connection that Archex, who was previously Captain Cardinal, he whittled these, so we got these having that close of a connection with the characters in the book.
Yeah, no, it's all me trying to figure out how I could use stuff that was there after I saw it. So like, I guess after I tried Katsaka's kettle grains, that became like Wappa's favorite food.
Yeah, every time we go into the creature stall, we always hope that there's going to be a toy Wabba in there.
God, that'd be cool. Well, if I'd known that they were going to have these rad little puffer pigs, I would have just made Wabba a puffer pig, because I have the puffer pig and I adore it.
Oh, yeah. Wabba, who, for people who haven't read the book yet, is Dolan's little hog creature, little hog pet.
Oh, so it pretty much is a puffer pig.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was kind of inspired by, my son really loves chubby, fat animals. It's like his favorite thing ever. So like the hippoglace in Phasma, when Vi is knitting with hippoglace, where it's a big furry blue hippo, like that's for him.
Aww.
So I was trying to think of, he liked that the Happabore at the beginning, in Force Awakens when Finn is drinking out of the filthy water next to the Happabore. He really thought he was cute. So I was like, okay, what if this was like a corgi-sized Happabore that you could just like carry around with you?
Is Wabba named after your son?
No, my daughter named Wabba. I asked her. Asked her if she wanted to name something, and that's what she came up with.
Aww.
My son named the star marks, the little birds that Archex eats.
Right.
Perfect.
It's a family affair.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, now let's talk about Rise of the Resistance, which is the new attraction coming to Galaxy's Edge. And this is the place where Vi set up camp for the Resistance base. But before it was safe, she had to clear all the booby traps set up by the Ancients of Batuu. Now, this part of the story had the spirit of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indiana Jones went after the idol. When you were writing this, were you tempted to put in a rolling boulder or any kind of Easter egg from the Indiana Jones attraction at Disneyland?
Well, there actually is an Easter egg from the Indiana Jones attraction in Galaxy's Edge. Did y'all know about this?
I don't know.
No.
Please,
the Ark.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. Yes.
In Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities. But no, it's a definite, like, actually the first time I wrote the scene, they were like, this reads too Indiana Jones. Could you make it more Star Wars? So I had to turn like from I had, I guess, big axes that came from the ceiling. So I had to turn that into like a sheet of water because the ancients were attuned to water. But no, it was very, it's what we needed there. And it also, it's a connection. They're kind of cousins. So it all worked out, but hopefully has more of a Star Wars tinge so that people think, oh, fun, this is kind of Indiana Jones, but not, this is a direct ripoff or anything. There was no rolling boulder, I swear.
Well, actually, what I got more of a tinge of was the third Indiana Jones film. When
Last
he
Crusade.
Goes, when he goes through the three levels.
And I love the fact that Vi said when she saw that big sheet of water, wow, it's the eighth wonder of the Star Wars world, the backside of water. I may have made that part up. I did make that part up, okay?
Okay, because I was like, wait a second, it hadn't been that long since I wrote the book.
One of the things I'm wondering is if, when we finally get to go through Rise of the Resistance, the actual attraction, will the whole line be walking through some of these areas that was described in this novel?
That is a thing I can't wait to discover as well. At the Disney World opening for the media, we were super fortunate that Scott Trowbridge allowed us to walk a short part of the Rise of the Resistance. They gave us a very small sneak peek. And it's I can't describe what it's like. It is just a little, even the part we saw is kind of mind blowing and sticks with you. But I didn't get to see that part I didn't get to see that part, which is what I really wanted to see. I was like, okay, this is great. This completely amazing, technologically advanced miracle. But could I just see the line?
Yes.
I have no idea.
Well, I think readers of Black Spire will really appreciate the fact that this is taking place from the part in the book where Vi is setting up her new resistance camp. I love all those tie-ins. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Now, you know what? I want to talk about Pook, Vi's droid. Who do you think would win in a I'm disgusted by everyone around me standoff? Pook or K2SO from Rogue One?
Well, I was trying to distinguish him from K2SO by making him less active and more whiny nihilistic. I think K2 is, he can do battle, he can be aggressive, he can be dangerous. And I think Pooh would more like sit down and cross his arms and be like, well, this is just juvenile.
Okay.
So I don't think he's not a droid of action. He's a droid that would rather power down than do the work unless he's directly forced to.
Sounds like a lot of people we know.
Well, also, I've been listening to the audiobook, and the Pook in that novel does sound a lot like that dry delivery of K2SO, but I can see how definitely you distinguished him in your writing.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't heard the audiobook because I can't listen to my words being said because it drives me into embarrassment.
Aww.
But I know that when we were getting ready to do the audiobook, I kind of sent, authors don't have a ton of control over Star Wars audiobooks. There is an entire team of extremely talented people who know a lot better than us who take care of it. But I sent over like a little email that was like, hey, I don't want to tell you what to do, but if Pook could sound like a slightly sad Alan Rickman, he has a British accent and he is kind of sad and grumbly, but also sort of angry. So it's like angry, sad Snape is basically what we're looking for, crossed with Marvin the Paranoid Android. So I hope that they nailed that.
Yeah, Sarah was listening to the audiobook as I was reading it. It's like, oh, that's what Creaky, the Chandra fan, sounds like.
Right. Oh, she's so cute in the audiobook.
Oh, is she? Okay, I might have to listen to it now because I have to hear like Creaky and Zayd and everything.
No, yeah, you do. Yeah.
Daniela Savoy is an incredible actress.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love her delivery.
Right. I'm calling this right now for Celebration 2020. I'm going to go as Zayd so I can always be drunk.
Can I go as chapter fan?
Yeah.
It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, Zayd is basically Russell Brand dressed like a cross between Jack Sparrow and the Rolling Stone guy whose name is escaping me.
Keith Richards?
No.
Mick Jagger.
That's it.
Well, he did sound like it.
I was thinking the Aerosmith guy, but
Steven Tyler?
Very skinny, very tight jeans and a scarf. Yeah.
and a woman's shirt. Why not?
Yeah.
With flowers.
Any 70s, 80s rock star. Throw a little bit of Flock of Seagulls in there. We're good.
Speaking of Zayd, how much fun was it to write this character?
Oh, I loved writing him. I mean, it's granted, I wrote this shortly after like my third watch through of the Umbrella Academy with poor blessed Klaus. And I think Klaus is just the kind of character that makes you want to write a Klaus of your own.
Mm-hmm.
Aha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Suicidal, flamboyant, precious baby cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
Yep.
See,
wow.
Now all of a sudden, I don't see Jack Sparrow or Russell Brand. I see the Umbrella Academy Klaus character.
Definitely.
All right, now comes a question that I don't really want to ask, but in the 42 years of Star Wars and the storytelling, the saga, nothing has given me the heebie-jeebies like when the First Order officer Kath was torturing Vi by poking around her eyes. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh. Now, did you go through a list of how characters have been tortured in Star Wars and think what hasn't been done? And I can't tell you how much this part grosses me out.
And how are your nightmares?
I spent a lot of Phasma torturing Vi in a very specific way, which was kind of clumsy and almost apologetic.
Mm.
And then, I have most recently in my head how, Poe and Rey were basically kind of mind raped by Kylo Ren, which is a different kind of torture. And you think back to what we've seen before with how people are dealt with. But then Kath is one of those characters that just kind of sprung to my head, very fully formed in himself. That opening scene where he makes Hux wait while he finishes his exercise set, I think really just tells you exactly who Kath is. So basically, I've got Vi sitting in that chair and you're like, what would a very careful, sadistic, mean person do to her that we haven't seen before? And you're like, oh, eyelids. I just never had any implication of sexual violence at all in this.
Right.
And this seemed like a way to give you that kind of skin crawling terror without having to resort to that.
It certainly worked. Our skin was crawling.
Yeah, whenever Sarah puts in her contacts, I got to leave the room.
Yeah, he has a major issue with eyes.
Yeah,
so funny.
And I think I really just brushed through this part of the book because I still have nightmares about it.
Sorry.
I'll send you my therapy bills.
All right. Well, do you have any more Galaxy's Edge tie-in novels coming up?
Not to my knowledge, but they know where to find me. Since Black Spire is kind of officially Phasma 2, I'm definitely ready for Phasma 3, whether that's following Vi Moradi or watching, Phasma survive what happened to her in episode 8 and taking off for a different planet to become a petty warlord.
Is that an announcement that you're working on Phasma 3?
No, that's
okay. A wish fulfillment.
I had 2 Star Wars books this year. I have to let somebody else do something.
Yeah, but no one gets into Galaxy's Edge like you.
Zoraida Cordova does.
When she was writing Crash of Fate and you were writing Black Spire, did you two have to confer with each other so you weren't stepping on each other's toes, or were you given parameters to work in?
Well, she had her first draft done by the time that I started writing mine, to my knowledge. But they also were careful to kind of tell us who we could and couldn't use. I was given kind of full reign with Ogugara, but told to kind of dial it back on Doc because Doc Ondar was being used in the comic by Ethan Sachs and Will Sliney, who are also good guys who write a really gorgeous book that'll give you lots of intimate knowledge of different interesting parts of Black Spire. So yeah, we were kind of told what we could do and what we couldn't do. Mubo, I got to come up with Mubo from the start. It was in the dossier that he was, an overexcited little Utai. But I got to kind of give him a voice and write him for the first time. So yeah, it's not like really hardcore lines. It was just why don't you do this instead of this, do that instead of this. And you go, okay.
I think Utais are so underused in Star Wars. I'm so glad that you went there.
He was super fun.
Nice.
He's just so earnest and excited.
Can you tell us anything else that you're working on?
Well, like I've said, I've got the Skywalker saga is out October 1st.
Oh.
And that is this super beautiful, high quality fairy tale type storybook retelling episodes 1 through 8 with beautiful art by Brian Rood, who's an official Star Wars artist. So it's basically meant to be read aloud and less focused on, if you're trying to get a kid into Star Wars and you want to read the book to them, episode 1 starts with some racist guys in robes had a trade embargo in a space conference room, which is not that exciting for children.
Right.
So instead, with this book, we focused on, a little boy on Tatooine had a dream and focusing more on the excitement of what it would be like to find out that you are a space wizard and to meet these great knights and to see all these interesting animals and go to the pod race. So it's meant to be read aloud, and it's just a really beautiful book. And I'm super proud to be involved in it.
What publisher is this with?
Oh, it's Disney. It's Disney.
Okay, Disney Lucasfilm. Nice.
We'll be signing it at New York Comic Con. And then The Tales of Pell that I write with Kevin Hearn, our third book, The Princess Beard, is out October 8th. So we'll also have early copies of that at New York Comic Con. And then I have a story in Star Wars Adventures number 25, the IDW comic, about a young Leo and Amelin Haldo going on an adventure. Where we get to see, you get to see some of the lower layers of Coruscant. And there's some deep cuts in there for fans of the prequels. If you want to go back to the Uskru district and revisit that area, it's in there.
And are all these signings and projects you're working on listed on a website or a Facebook page?
Yeah, my website is whimsydark.com, and it has pages for books and events. I probably need to update the books, but the events are definitely up to date because I just did that. So I've got New York Comic Con, and then I believe 4 dates for the Princess Beard Tour in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Orlando, Florida. I'll also be at the Florida Writers Conference in Orlando in October, and then at the Surrey International Writers Conference in Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Awesome. And whimsydark.com is spelled W-H-I-M?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Since I write it under a couple of different pen names, I just try to consolidate under my brand.
Right.
Perfect.
And if any of the Skywalkers want to reach out to you on social media, where do they go for that?
Twitter's going to be probably your best bet. I'm Delilah S. Dawson there. I have kind of a long-standing policy. If you ask me a question in good faith that is not a Googleable question, I'm happy to answer it. I give a lot of publishing advice there since that's kind of where I learned how to write and get published. And then if you like pictures better than words, Instagram, I'm also Delilah S. Dawson.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, Delilah, so much for answering so many questions we had about Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
And thank you for writing a fantastic book. This is like a book you can walk into because you pretty much can.
Yeah, so we want to say to you, Rising Moons.
Rising Moons. Till the Spire.
Now, it was really fun to go to Galaxy's Edge right after we spoke with Delilah. And when we saw Vi, who was sneaking around with the kids, we really wanted to say, you should be receiving a very important document from your creator real soon.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, once again, you'll be able to see our adventures from yesterday's outing in our next YouTube video. So stay tuned for that, Skywalkers.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
Well, speaking of YouTube videos, our last YouTube video was all about the Hollywood Bowl and John Williams, and we shared a lot of that concert, and that video has been watched pretty steadily since it came out. Now, if you watched, you may have noticed a little girl dressed as Rey at the beginning of the video. She was all ready for the concert. She was so cute. Well, her dad found the video and then us on Instagram. So, at Maps of Lined Ink, we want to thank you for your comment. And he said, "We never miss a year of John Williams at the Hollywood Bowl. Thank you for including little Rey in your video."
It's great having the ability to record as much as you do right now, because I can't. 99.9% of my childhood is lost because there's no video cameras, no film cameras, no iPhones.
Yeah.
What I would do to go to go back in time and get my mom an iPhone.
Oh, I know. We'll give you an iPhone when you were young. I mean, you would have been putting up YouTube. You would have had a YouTube channel started when you were 4.
It would have been called RichTube back in 1977.
Indeed. Wow.
So, yeah, I'm so glad that we're able to put her in that video and they found it. Or that little dancing Captain Marvel from D23 Expo.
So great. We love it. Well, speaking of social media, which is where people find us, who has posted their hashtag Skywalker selfie lately?
Well, Christopher Marino did.
Yes, he did. He shared his this week, and he posted a picture of him, and he had run 2-point-something miles, and he said, listening to the newest episode while out on a run. So thank you, Christopher, for sharing your Skywalker selfie. Now, Skywalkers, if you want to do that, just stop what you're doing, take a selfie, and then put it on social media, hashtag Skywalker selfie, especially on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll make sure to check those out.
And Christopher Marino is one of our SkyTubers right now who just said, woohoo!
Yay.
I can only do that in the Homer voice. Woohoo! That wasn't really a Homer voice, that was a Homer-ism.
I don't have a Homer voice. And we also want to mention in our shout-outs Eric Unkenhout, who has been doing an excellent job in his reviews and write-ups for Skywalking Through Neverland. Recently, he posted a review of the Marvel Comics Star Wars Galaxy's Edge #5, and it's called The Final Battle. It's a great review, and he also posted a review of A Crash of Fate, another Galaxy's Edge novel by Zoraida Cordova, and he entitles his review Space Romance at the Edge of the Galaxy. So these are excellent, very thorough reviews. In fact, if you kind of want to know what's happening in the books or the comics and you don't really have time to read them, then you can read his reviews and they kind of go through what's happening. Like for me, I haven't had time to read the comics, but I kind of know and I'm kind of caught up on the universe. And so when I go into Doc Ondars, I'm like, oh, I know what that is because I read Eric's review.
Eric is a wordsmith. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up episode 260 of Skywalking Through Neverland. We'd like to thank Delilah Dawson for talking about her new book with us, and to Disney Lucasfilm Press for sending us the copy of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire.
We'd also like to thank all of you Skywalkers for listening every single week. We love that so much. We love it when you tweet at us or comment on these videos or our posts and just tell us like, hey, I listened and I liked this part. You know, it's just so gratifying to hear that you guys listen. It's amazing. Now, we'd also like to thank all of you SkyTubers for watching our live stream and everyone for watching our videos on YouTube and listening to all our shows. We so appreciate it. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Small World Vacations. Are you guys thinking of a trip to the Disney parks? Well, you can fill out a Get a Quote form at smallworldvacations.com, and their vacation planning service is free, so just check it out and tell them that Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
And as a reminder, we are always posting videos on YouTube, and see our latest D23 videos of fun and so many aspects of the expo, and coming up, all the fun, never-before-ridden attractions
for us
at Disneyland.
We had so much fun going around, and we didn't even get over to DCA. We were just so busy with Disneyland.
I never really get that angry at anything. I got that angry yesterday.
And it's all documented. Skywalkers, you're gonna love it. All right, well, please check out all the rest of the shows on the Skywalking Network, including the Culture Popcast and Sabers and Spells. You can find us all at skywalkingthrough.neverland.com. And as a reminder, we have our new t-shirt designs available on TeePublic. So if you want to check those out, our Halloween Toy Story aliens dressed as Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney characters. And we also have our Skywalking Through Galaxy's Edge shirt, which is a must if you're a Skywalker. Well, head over to skywalkingthrough.neverland.com, click on the Support Us tab, and it'll be right there. Or you can just look for our social media posts with all our pictures of all the t-shirts and go to the link on those posts.
Amanda B just asked, did someone hit you with their giant backpack?
Oh, no.
No, it was worse than being hit by a giant backpack.
Yes.
Thank you, Amanda.
It was water.
Recirculated water.
Indeed. Well, a huge thank you for everyone who is part of the Skywalking Force. If you would like more Skywalking Through Neverland in your life, check out skywalkingforce.com and help us support the ever-growing Skynet. You can also support us in a different way by sharing the show with a friend. You can also click on the links to Pozu Shoes, Oppo Suits, or TeePublic on our website under the Support Us tab. Once again, that's the best tab to go to support us.
Now, you can also find Skywalking Through Neverland at jedinews.co.uk and Bantha Tracks.
You can find us on social media. We are at Skywalking Pod for Twitter and Instagram. And there's our Facebook group, and we always are asking questions. There's a poll right now going on in that group, and all kinds of things. And you can go to Facebook and search Skywalking Through Neverland group and request to join. You can also email us, share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com.
And we always love to hear what you Skywalkers think, so please head on over there to Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and leave us a review. We really, 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 really appreciate it.
Now stay tuned for bloopers and some other fun conversation we may have had with our SkyTubers today, right after these credits. And always remember...
May the spires keep you.
And...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushwitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said. Bright suns, Skywalkers! Have you read the new novel, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge?
It's Wednesday, isn't it?
Just as we're starting to record.
It's our gardener.
The gardener's here.
I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's pretty funny. But this cuts out a lot.
Yeah, well, not last week it didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Oh, no.
But I managed to cut around it. Mr. Gardner, do you have anything you want to share? Wants to share his new lawn blower with us.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, Amanda brings up a good point. I wonder what would happen if you walked into Oga's with a monkey lizard on your shoulder.
They would give you a bad time.
In fact, I'm very, very shocked that Oga even allows Kowakian monkey lizards to be sold in Black Spire Outpost. See, I turn it off for Minnie to say stuff, and then my watch is noisy and loud.
Okay.
That's what happens. And treat it, well, if not as a god, then as something of importance. Something that could change what is happening here.
Criff!
Ah, Criff!